The rain was pouring heavily that September afternoon when Helena signed the last documents. Her hands trembled, not from the cold, but from the certainty that she was losing everything. At 28 years old, widowed for only 3 months, she watched her brothers-in-law divide the assets that had once belonged to Ricardo, her late husband. "You understand, Helena," said Margareth, Ricardo's older sister, with a smile that never reached her eyes. "The company belonged to the family before the marriage. Ricardo merely managed it. And you didn't even have children." The sentence hung in the air like a blade. Helena swallowed her tears. It was true. 3 years of marriage and no children. Ricardo had died in a car accident while returning from a business trip. No will. No planning. No protection for her. "And the apartment?" Helena managed to ask, her voice barely a whisper. "It was registered under the family holding," replied the Alvarenga family's lawyer, without even looking at her. "Unfortunately, Mrs. Helena, without children and without a will, the law favors blood relatives in business matters." Helena left that office with only one suitcase of clothes and a few pieces of jewelry she had been wearing when Ricardo died. In the months that followed, she tried to rebuild her life. She sold the jewelry, rented a tiny room, searched for work. But depression was a monster that slowly consumed her. The savings ran out. The rent fell behind. Then came the eviction. And then, Helena met the street. 6 months on the streets turned Helena into someone she barely recognized. Her brown hair, once silky and well cared for, was now tangled and lifeless. Donated clothes barely protected her from the June cold. She slept under storefront awnings, beneath overpasses, always alert, always afraid. Liberty Square became her refuge during the day. There, among pigeons and hurried passers-by, Helena spread a piece of cardboard and asked for help. Some tossed coins without looking. Others avoided her gaze, uncomfortable. Most simply ignored her. It was on an ordinary Thursday that Helena saw her for the first time. A girl of about 7 years old, black hair in 2 braids, huge curious brown eyes. She approached slowly, holding the hand of an older woman who seemed to be her nanny. "Can you wait here, Mrs. Marta?" "Just a minute," the girl said, letting go of the woman's hand. She walked up to Helena and crouched beside her, staring into her eyes with a disarming intensity. "What's your name?" the girl asked. "Helena," she replied, surprised by her own hoarse voice from lack of use. "My name is Laura," the girl smiled. "Are you hungry? I can bring you a snack tomorrow." Helena felt tears burn her eyes. How long had it been since someone treated her like a person? "Thank you," was all she could say. Laura came back the next day. And the next. And the next. Always with a snack, always with questions. Where did Helena sleep? What did she like? Why was she on the streets? Helena, cautious at first, slowly opened up. There was something about the child's sincerity that disarmed her defenses. 2 weeks later, on a sunny morning, Laura arrived with an expression far too serious for a child. "Helena," she began, sitting down on the cardboard beside her, ignoring Mrs. Marta's disapproving look. "Can I ask you an important question?" "Of course, sweetheart." "Could you be my mom?" The world stopped. Helena blinked, not understanding. "What do you mean, Laura?" "My mom died when I was a baby," Laura explained, her eyes filling with tears. "I don't even remember her. Daddy tries, he really tries, but he gets so sad sometimes. And I want a real mom. Someone who understands me. Someone like you. Laura, I can't just—" "You could marry my dad," the girl interrupted, excited. "He's really nice, you know. He's a doctor and he takes care of people. He takes care of me. He's just alone. Like you." Helena didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Laura's innocence was touching and painful at the same time. "My dear, life doesn't work that way. Your father doesn't even know me. And look at me," Helena gestured to her dirty clothes, her miserable state. "My dad always says people aren't what they wear or where they live. They're what they have in their hearts." Laura took Helena's dirty hand in her small, clean ones. And you have a good heart. I know it. I feel it. That night, under her worn-out blanket, Helena couldn't sleep. Laura's words echoed in her mind. Part of her wanted to believe there was still hope, that life could start over. Another part, the wounded, exhausted part, knew it was just a child's impossible dream. But destiny, Helena would soon discover, had other plans. The following Saturday, Laura did not come alone. Beside her was a tall man with broad shoulders, dark hair streaked with gray at the temples. He wore jeans and a simple shirt, but there was something in his posture that conveyed seriousness and kindness at the same time. "Dad, this is Helena." Laura practically pulled the man toward where Helena was sitting. Helena tried to stand, embarrassed, but her legs gave out. The man was quick, firmly holding her arm to keep her from falling. "Easy," he said, his deep voice reassuring. His blue eyes met hers, and Helena saw something she didn't expect: respect. "My name is Daniel. Daniel Carvalho." "I'm sorry, Helena began, but Daniel raised his hand. "Laura told me about you. About your conversations." He looked at his daughter with a mix of tenderness and exasperation. "She's 7, but sometimes she seems 70. And well, she has a rather unusual proposal." Helena blushed. "Dr. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I never encouraged." "I know." Daniel crouched to her eye level. "But knowing my daughter, I also know that when she decides something, it's hard to change her mind. And she decided you need help." "I don't want charity," Helena said, trying to preserve what dignity she had left. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering an opportunity." Daniel paused. "I run a medical clinic and I need someone at the reception. It's nothing glamorous, answering phones, scheduling appointments, organizing files. But it comes with a salary, meal allowance, and if you accept, I can help you find a place to live while you get back on your feet." Helena looked at him in disbelief. "Why? You don't even know me." "Because my daughter sees something in you that's worth it. And I've learned to trust her instincts." Daniel smiled for the first time, and Helena felt something stir in her chest, long dormant. "Besides, everyone deserves a second chance. I had mine. Why not you?" Tears finally fell, and Helena didn't try to stop them. I don't know what to say." "Say yes." Laura jumped, clapping her hands. "Say yes, Helena." And for the first time in almost a year, Helena felt something she had forgotten: hope. The first months at the clinic were challenging. Daniel arranged a small apartment for Helena above the clinic. Simple, but clean and safe. She cried the first night she slept in a real bed. The job kept her busy. Helena discovered she had a gift for dealing with patients. Her own pain had made her more empathetic. People felt comfortable with her, sharing their anxieties while waiting for their appointment. Daniel was a caring but professional boss. He never crossed boundaries, never asked invasive questions. But Helena noticed his occasional glances, the silent concern when she looked tired. Laura, on the other hand, had no filters. She spent afternoons after school at the clinic, doing homework in the waiting room, always finding a way to stay close to Helena. "You look prettier," Laura said one day, admiring Helena's newly cut and treated hair. "Now you can date my dad." "Laura!" Helena and Daniel said at the same time, making the girl laugh. But not everything was perfect. One afternoon, 3 months after Helena started working, Margareth Alvarenga walked into the clinic. Helena froze when she saw her. Her former sister-in-law was as elegant as ever, but her eyes widened when she recognized Helena. "You!" Margareth said, shock giving way to disdain. "Working in a neighborhood clinic? How far you've fallen, Helena. Can I help you with something?" Helena asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I'm looking for Dr. Carvalho. I have an appointment." At that moment, Daniel stepped out of his office. He immediately sensed the tension: Helena's rigid shoulders, Margaretha's cruel smile. "Mrs. Alvarenga?" he called, professionally. "Please come in." During the consultation, which felt like an eternity, Helena tried to work, but her hands trembled. Memories of humiliation, loss, and pain flooded her mind. When Margareth left, she stopped at the reception desk. "I hope you don't stay here long, Helena. People like you always go back to where they belong." And she left, trailing poison behind her. Helena held back her tears until the end of the day. When everyone was gone and she was locking up the clinic, she finally collapsed. She didn't realize Daniel had come back until she felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to tell me," Daniel said softly, sitting beside her on the clinic steps. "But if you want to, I'll listen." And Helena told him everything. The marriage to Ricardo, the sudden death, the family that discarded her, the months on the street. Daniel listened in silence, his presence solid and comforting. "She was wrong," he said when Helena finished. "You didn't go back to where you belong. You arrived where you deserve to be." "How can you say that? You barely know me." "I know enough." Daniel turned to face her. "I know someone who, even after losing everything, kept her kindness. Someone who treats every patient with respect and care. Someone my daughter loves deeply. I know someone who is strong, even when she thinks she isn't." "Daniel, let me tell you something about me," he interrupted. "My wife, Laura's mother, died of cancer when Laura was 6 months old. I shut down. I buried myself in work, tried to be both father and mother, but part of me died with her. For 6 years, I lived on autopilot, until a stubborn little girl decided that a woman in a square should be part of our lives." He took Helena's hand. "Laura brought me back to life by bringing you into our lives. She saw in you what I was too blind to realize I was looking for. Someone who understands pain but chooses kindness. Someone who knows the value of a second chance." "I don't know if I'm ready," Helena whispered. "No one is ever completely ready to start over. But we don't have to be." Daniel smiled, the smile that now made Helena's heart race. "We just have to be willing to try." That night, under the starry sky, Helena understood that sometimes life takes everything from us not to destroy us, but to prepare us for something better. Sometimes we need to lose our way to find our destiny. 6 months later, in a simple ceremony with few friends and many happy tears, Helena and Daniel were married. Laura was the flower girl, her smile bigger than everyone else's. At the altar, as they exchanged vows, Helena looked at the man who had seen her at her worst and chose to see her worth. She looked at Laura, the girl who had saved her when she needed it most. And she understood that sometimes, when everything seems lost, when we are at our darkest moment, that is exactly when the light finds a way in. Life had given her a second chance, and this time she would not waste it. 2 years later, Helena was standing at the clinic entrance when a familiar car stopped in front. Margareth stepped out, this time without her former arrogance. She looked smaller, more fragile. "Helena," she said hesitantly, "may I talk to you?" They sat on a bench in the square across from the clinic, the same square where everything had begun. "The family business collapsed," Margareth confessed. "We found out there had been embezzlement. I lost everything. I'm living with a friend." She looked at Helena. "I came to apologize. For what we did to you. For the cruelty." Helena could have felt satisfaction, revenge. Instead, she felt only compassion. "We all make mistakes, Margareth. We all deserve forgiveness. How can you be so kind?" Helena smiled, looking toward the clinic where Daniel was seeing patients, where Laura was playing in the waiting room with the 1-year-old little brother she and Daniel had together. "Because I learned that holding on to resentment only imprisons us, and I've already spent too much time imprisoned by pain." She stood and extended her hand to Margareth. "We need help with the clinic's administration. If you want to start over, there's room here." And that was how Helena, who had once lost everything, discovered that the greatest wealth lies in having a heart big enough to forgive, to love, and to begin again. Always begin again.